Howdy, and welcome back to another episode of World Bigfoot Radio. And we're back with Robin McCray to do a year-end wrap-up. All the highs, whatever there were, and the lows, plenty of them, of 2022. And in the meantime, before we get to it, I'd like to encourage everybody, if you like this channel, please subscribe. Click that bell and hit the one that says all on it. That maximizes the chances that YouTube might actually send you a notice when the next show is coming out. And hit that like button. Would knock that sucker. That's that little thumbs up thing underneath the screen. I'll hold on a second. Did you find it yet? Okay. Okay, thank you. And now we're back to the show. So what we're going to do is kind of a wrap up of what we think are the more interesting high points of 2022. And then after that, we're going to talk a little bit about what we think there should be somebody out there that's basically unbiased and not working for some organization that is going to actually pick probably good candidates to give awards out to. We need to have an award thing every year and really recognize the individuals that are getting out there doing the exemplary work, the tip of the spear, leading the way into the unknown for all of the rest of us, breaking the trail through the heavy snow, and otherwise being the leaders of the pack. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later on here, but you guys might want to think about if you were in this position and you could nominate somebody for Bigfoot Researcher of the Year, and we're going to have subcategories, who would you pick? And so before we get to that, let's get to the high points of the year in Bigfooting. Robin, go first.
So many. I mean, if you really look back, the cryptids have, for whatever reason this year, have made this huge impact. Like, they are loud, they are proud, and they are not nearly as shy as they used to be. So I think this year was a
You mean they're a lot bigger now?
they're coming out more than they ever have before. I mean, it's just really, to me, I think it's really amazing because as you know, I work with a lot of people and I get people that contact me constantly, and it's starting to be more and more, not just wanting information about them. It's, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm getting contacted by them. I'm seeing them. I'm finding structures. I'm finding footprints. So I think they're like more out now than they ever have been. I don't think we're ever going to see them want to come up and sit down next to the campfire, and roast marshmallows, but they're making themselves known. They've had quite a few of us, you included, Duke, coming out and talking about them and telling the truth about them and making people aware about their culture, their lives, their language, their families. And we can't do it by ourselves. We just can't. And I think they've kind of stepped up to the plate this year and said, okay, you're going to see more signs of me. You don't believe I'm here? I'm going to prove it to you.
Yeah, I've noticed that in the community. There's more people out there that are finally willing to talk about them being something other than big dumb apes running around the woods. And a lot of them are getting it wrong, but at least it's the discussion is going on at this point. And the other thing is there's this weird, what I perceive as a false dichotomy used to divide the Bigfoot community, and that is the woo versus flesh and blood crowd. Who is it out there in a position of authority that told you that it had to be one or the other?
Exactly. The whole truth is both sides are right. They can be flesh and blood, but in a blink of an eye, as you and I both know, they can go from that flesh and blood state. They can change their body chemistry and molecular structure, and they can go into spirit form. They can cloak, they can shimmer, they can go in a portal, they can go to any dimension they want to. And it's amazing. And I think that when we limit our thinking to it has to be one way or another, not only are you doing a disservice to the forest people, you're doing a disservice to yourself because you're missing out on a huge, huge amount of information about them. And let's face it, we're going to be involved in this. Don't we all want to know what's really there?
Yeah. Well, some people apparently don't because they like to alter their reports. They're apparently running an agenda and having anything to do with anything even borderline supernatural. That's not science-y. And so they discard it. And, as Dave Scott at Spaced Out Radio says, And by the way, go sub his channel, watch his show. I'm on it twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday nights in the third hour to do the cryptid report. And it's not the same content over here, so you're going to be hearing different things over there. But anyway, like Dave likes to say about this, and this mainly he was talking about the UFO community, but same BFRO and other people. If you get a report and you alter any part of the report or the data set that comes with it, whether you like it or not, you're just wasting everybody's time, because that's no longer a report. It's BS now. You got rid of part of the data that went along with it, which might be really important, but because you have a preconceived notion about what that data set should look like, you're not willing to look at it. And guess what? That's the last thing from scientific.
Well, and I think the other thing is too, everybody runs around calling somebody a hoaxer. Okay, aren't you hoaxing if you're falsifying records?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
You know, it comes down to the same thing. And I've said this a million times, you've said a million times, you cannot change the truth. The stories aren't going to change. It's always going to be the same, because you can't change the truth. You just simply can't. You know, I started working on this book, and I'm like, the chapters are just like falling out. And Kat said to me, so it's going to take you a long time to get this done. And I said, not as long as you would think, because I don't have to think up anything. I don't have to create a storyline.
No, you just put it down in order, write it down. Here's what happened. Bada bing, bada boom, done.
I mean, when I took my college writing classes umpteen years ago, you know, before the wheel was invented, and when I took those, and you had to create all these stories, and I'm like, to do 10 pages, and you'd work on it for a week and a half. I can drop 10 pages in an hour.
Oh, I know. And I was back in those days doing creative writing too. And, 10 pages, that was a lot of weight in clay tablets, and carving it in there with the stylus and everything. That took a lot of time. It's so much easier when they upgraded to paper.
Oh, I'm telling you. But it's, it's just, the truth doesn't change. If you're going to talk about it, if you're going to write about it, it's going to flow, because you're not searching for answers out of the air, because you already know it. You've already lived it. And it's the truth. But when you start taking bits and pieces out of records and out of files to make it conform to your own little square box or your own agenda, you now have become the hoaxer. You have now become the liar.
Mm-hmm.
You might be lying by default by withholding partial truths. It's still a liar.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us, at any time when we started in this, ever thought you would go down the rabbit hole that you do. When I was a toddler and these things were showing up, I never dreamt it would turn into what it would. And as I got older, I never thought, every time I think it's not going to get any deeper, of course it does. But I don't think any of us anticipated it. But at the same time, I want to know all of it. And they're not going to tell us everything, but I want to know as much as they're willing to share with us. I don't want it sugar-coated. I don't want half-baked truth to make it easier, because then it's no longer the truth. If I want to watch, something that's fake, I can go watch a movie in the movie theaters.
Yeah, or a Bigfoot show on mainstream TV.
Yeah, exactly. Ugh.
Yeah, I haven't got anything positive to say about mainstream TV Bigfoot shows this year, so I'll just pass that subject unless Robin has anything she wants to say.
No, I don't think so. I think for me, I don't watch the Bigfoot shows. I will watch documentaries, but only the documentaries that I know some of the people in, because I know that these are reputable people. Ron Moorhead has been in several documentaries. I watch every one he's in. Ron is phenomenal. He has the most honest approach to everything that I've heard. And I hold him at one of the highest regards as far as integrity. And so I'll watch his. I'll watch Igor's. Igor isn't going to lie about anything. He never has. He never will. Doesn't matter if you believe it or not. He could care less. He's going to tell you the way it is. Yep. And, that's so good about it. But there are a lot of people that I will watch, but there's also more that I won't, just because I don't want to hear the garbage. And I don't want to hear that they're all monsters. They're not all monsters. They're good and bad, absolutely. And the bad ones are lethal. But so are people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to watch something. I've heard all the spiels about, you know, they're an animal, they're an ape, they're this, they're that, they're a Nephilim. I'm tired of hearing it. You know, you listen to the same thing over and over again, and it's not that I don't want to hear the truth. I already know the truth. I live the truth. You know, I've heard their mouths.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't want to hear.
We long ago already did the DNA research on it, the
Yeah.
over 100 samples, the ridiculously meticulously done study. It's available on GenBank. Go look at it. Ketchum
Yeah.
DNA study. Yeah, we already know that they're human hybrids with some other line of relic hominid. So,
Yeah.
what are Bigfoot? There's your answer. We already know.
Well, and I asked him before I ever met Melba. I mean, if you want to know something and something could speak to you, just ask it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't like it was rocket scientists that I spent years pondering whether or not, you know, I mean, if they're talking to me and they can tell me they want this or they want that, they can tell me what they are. And so I already knew. So it wasn't a shock to me when Melba's study came out. And, you know, she had wanted to know why I hadn't asked her what the results were. And I said, well, they said you got it right. So why ask you? I figure you got enough people asking you, you know, and they were.
Yeah, there's more than one person that are actually interacting and talking to them too. And I use this as a great resource because I can get you and other people to ask them questions. So I don't bombard them with lots of questions and bother them all the time. And most of the questions I ask them aren't about them. I ask them questions about cryptids. Because guess who knows a hell of a lot about cryptids? They do.
Yeah, and I'll ask them about the integrity of different people, and I'll say, you know, the people are claiming this, this, and this, and you know, what do you think of this person? And they trust me; they don't hesitate to tell you, you know. But if you want to know the truth, you go to the source. That doesn't mean that they're always 100% honest, but there are certain things that they're not going to lie about, and talking about what they are, about their culture, their ways of life, their family, their laws, their language, their alphabet, their writings, all of that, they're not lying about. And myself and literally thousands of other people across the world are having these kind of contact with them. It's not like, you know, I mean, I know I'm a little bit of a freak show, but I'm not the only one out there.
No.
And when you get all these people together, and they're separated by thousands and thousands of miles, and they don't have contact with each other until we meet through you know, and they're all getting the same experiences, but yet the people that are against this belief and say that they're Nephilim or they're animals or they're whatever, they don't have contact. Nope. They might see someone walk through the woods. They might find a footprint. I'm talking about real contact. I'm talking about that one-on-one converse. I mean, not sitting down and, you know, roasted marshmallows, but where you're able to have some kind of consistent exchange or ongoing contact where you're able to study them or learn from them or even listen when they do speak.
I got an exchange going on with mine. I give them peanut butter and they give me rocks.
Yours love you. Okay.
I felt guilty. That's the only reason I started leaving them anything, because since you got in contact with them, I started realizing they were leaving me presents. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so clueless. I'm coming to visit them and they're giving me presents. Like, I need to bring them something.
Yeah. And they, you know, a lot of them do this barter system, and they don't, you know, of course, they're not telling us that they're going to do it. And so they're leaving us rocks and stuff, but we're thinking it's more crap in the yard. You know what I started doing, and this was like back, gosh, I want to say 2009, and I had done it beforehand, but not consistently, is at night, before I went into the house for the night, I would do a complete walk around the outside of my house, and I would study what was on the ground. I would look up towards the roof to see if I could see anything on the roof. And then the next morning, I would go outside and repeat that. And it was amazing to me, the changes in sticks that were brought in, the changes in rock formation, the changes in rocks on my roof, or other various things that I had in my yard that had been moved. And at one point, I was living in Michigan. And when we moved into the house, there was this old beat up picnic table. It was huge. It was a full-fledged picnic table. And the legs on it were these metal piping that kind of curled up like you would see like on a sled. And it was very old, and it was sitting right at the edge of the woods. And the people that had been there before had left it. And I never thought anything about it. It was pretty trashed up and, you know, warped and everything. You would have had to replace the boards to use it. And I went out there one day, and this picnic table, which I couldn't move, it was too heavy for me, had been not only picked up, it had been wedged between two trees, and these circular prongs of piping from the metal had been unbent and then coiled around the trees. As far as I know, it's still there to this day. I mean, and that was back in 2009. I went back to that house when I was in Michigan in June, and my friend said, oh, we've got to drive over there. We've got to go over there. And I said, okay. And we pulled in, and nobody was home. Thank God, they probably would have had us arrested. And we pulled up the driveway, and that stupid thing was still there. They can't move it because they can't unbend the piping to get it out from wrapped around the tree.
Well, at this point, it's probably too late. The trees are probably growing around it.
But it was hysterical. But I would find all kinds of things, and I had these window nest boxes that were made out of like a wrought iron, and you put, it looked like a mulch basket liner that you put in, and you put your and stuff in. And I put those up. I hung them on every window, and I put black dirt in it, and I put all these really pretty flowers in there. And I went out there the next day, and every single flower was gone. All that was left was the black dirt and the bath. And I was like, what did you guys do? Like, I just spent all this money buying flowers. And then after that, for like 3 months, I kept finding pennies in the morning. Like, I don't think they understand what money is, but yet they kept putting pennies in it. Every morning, there would be more pennies in these baskets. And when the pennies stopped, then the dirt started being taken out. And they eventually took the liner that was like the mulched wheat or whatever it was that they had in there. And those started disappearing. Finally, I said, what are you doing with the liners? And they said, we can use it to make fire. And I thought, you know, that was really smart because it was dry enough. That would have been great to start a fire with. Had they not taken it, I would have used it in the bonfire pit.
Yep. So what, if you had to pick one thing that happened in Bigfooting this year that you think was the most significant or interesting, what would you pick?
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say Igor. He's been working up to this, but he is doing some research in Russia, and he has made contact with not only the Sasquatch, but many other cryptids as well. And he's actually gotten to the point where the one Sasquatch approached him and stroked his face and ran his hand along Igor's wrist and hand. And that's been building up for the last couple of years, but it's been brought out more prominently within the last year. And I was really impressed with that. I thought, you know, if anybody deserved it, he did. He's dedicated his life to it. And I think, you know, I don't want to say just one person, because I think we've got some really good researchers out here. Like for top researcher of the year, it's going to be a tight race this year. And you look at like William Lunsford, Stephen Hill, Blaine Taylor, you know, these guys are getting the goods. Kelly Shaw, they are really good stuff that we have never had brought to the table anymore or at all before, you know, and everybody's out there going, oh, but we need a body to prove that it's real. And that's such a load of crap, because there have been bodies. There's been lots of bodies, and the government takes them. So everybody that's running around either thinking they're going to shoot one or they need a body to do it, get over it. Ain't going to happen. And we did have flesh from a body. It was proven, and people didn't believe it anyway. Yeah. You know,
Dave Pilates just showed it on his little Bigfoot video, Bigfoot 101 DNA study. He showed the actual chunk that they had, that a crazy hunter had shot one. And he not only got hair samples, but he got a chunk of its flesh with the hair still attached to it. So that was part of the DNA study too. So we've already, I know somebody else that contributed to the DNA study had gotten a toenail from one of them.
Yep, exactly. We had blood, we had flesh, we had urine, we had saliva. I mean, we had everything except the entire body, and we were all crucified for it. So, you know, I don't look at it that, oh, we need this body to prove it, because I think that's a joke and a half. Look at the gorillas. They killed 900 of them because in order to prove a species, you have to breeding population. And that's then once they proved it population, now they're going to massacre them anyway.
Yeah.
You know, talking about these are relations.
Our closest ones. The DNA study proved it.
They are a human hybrid. They are a type of people. I will sing it for the rest of my life. And, you know, whoever, if nobody believes it, at least I can die trying because I know the truth. And a lot of us now know the truth. And I think if I would say the very one biggest thing we have gotten out of 2022, because let's face it, it was a crap year, is the fact that more people now than ever are figuring out the truth. They're figuring out that regardless of what they thought, regardless of their belief systems, these are a human hybrid. They are doing things that people never dreamt possible. More people are seeing them using their abilities. More people are seeing them in the flesh and blood and then moving into that paranormal zone. And I think that all contributes.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one. So what do you think, what's your, what would you choose for the low point in Bigfooting this year?
The closed-mindedness. I think the people that still aren't wanting to believe it.
Well, that's been going on for years, though. Pick one thing specific.
I think the part that I'm referring to is we've always had, like you said, the two camps, the flesh and blood, the paranormal. What I'm referring to is we now have a certain group of people that, because as you know, our world has really turned more into hate than what it should anymore. But these certain individuals who know who they are have now gotten more hardcore about this stupid flesh and blood crap and let's kill them. And I think that's really been heightened this year in previous years. It's always been there. It's always been in the background. But from what I've seen and the people I've talked to, there are certain people now that is even stronger than it was before. And I think it's really sad. And I think it's sad that we have so many wonderful people out there that are coming forward and telling the truth about them. And the Sasquatch themselves are coming forward and showing the truth about them. And then you still have these camps of people that, even with all the enormous amount of proof, refuse to. They're so stuck in stone, heels in the ground, they are not going to budge. And to me, I think that's the saddest thing, because you're looking at a timeline of the last 12 months where there's been more out there and put out there, more photos, more films, more evidence, more people that are willing to accept the truth. And then you still have these ones, only they're not just, oh, this is what it is. No, they are hardcore, that to their bones, they're going to show the world how wrong everybody else is. And I think that's really sad. And I think it's worse this year than normal.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to agree with you on the stinky state of the general Bigfoot community, but it's always been kind of a joke anyway. There's no unity in our community. It's always been factionalized. Before it was flesh and blood against woo, it was more they're all big apes, or they're something else, or are they aliens? And that whole fight going on too, more factionalization. So I mean, to me it looks like there's just groups that have sort of a similar opinion will actually gang up and attack other shows or groups that they disagree with, which is a complete waste of time, and quit looking like a bunch of 5-year-olds having playground fights with each other. Now, from my low point of the year, I'm picking on Oklahoma and how stupid they are offering a bounty to capture a Bigfoot.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Do you know, I actually called the congressman there.
I know Barry Webster did too. Several people called and bitched at him on behalf of the Sasquatch.
Yeah, and I talked to Barry about it. I had actually called the person that was in charge and had started this, and his secretary kept putting me off and putting me off and putting me off. And I thought, okay, that's fine, because I know there's a list of 4 or 5 members that are dealing with this. And I called another one, and I'm not going to put names out there because I don't like to put people on the spot, but I called another one and I talked to him, and he was tremendous. And he said, what this man is trying to do is going to destroy everything. It goes past the Bigfoot. It's going to divide people. It's going to divide the community. And if this is a situation and people are going up there to shoot them, we do not have a force that can protect the people.
Mhm.
We can't protect people going up there thinking that this is going to be not a big deal and everybody's going to go like they're going on an elk hunt. And he said, we have no way to protect anybody. He said, it's a suicide mission. He said, we will never endorse this. And he said, I don't think my constituents will either. He said, I've already talked to them. We've had private meetings about this. We are not going to allow this. And I thought, okay, this is really good. And they shot it down the first time. And the last I knew, they're trying to redo it again.
Yeah, from what I heard, it was actually up and running. They had just
Yeah.
changed it to live trapping only.
Yeah.
You get a permit to trap them. Okay, what kind of, we've seen this before on mountain monsters. It doesn't matter how big the trap is, even assuming that was real, which I don't. You're not going to be able to catch them in some giant mouse trap or something like that. But you can potentially set up traps that'll trap some idiot hiker or kid or something, and then they'll starve to death by the time somebody shows up and gets them. Or they'll fall in a punji stake trap or something like that.
Thing to worry about is, what if they get one of these Bigfoot kids?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that in itself just is heartbreaking to me. It makes me want to cry. The repercussions of that are astronomical. Okay. These are a type of people that love deeper than we do and are more protective of their children than we are. And they believe in an eye for an eye. That's what their culture works as. So if you were to take or hurt one of their children, there is no place on this planet or any other planet that you are safe. And when they say an eye for an eye, what they mean is, you took our child, we will hurt yours. Mm-hmm. Or we will hurt grandchildren, or we will hurt your sister or your brother or a family member. And they don't stop. They will continue to go. The whole thing is absolutely insane. I forgot all about that till you brought that up. Yeah.
Don't forget, these guys are very primitive and they're clannish. And for another example of clannish behavior, Hatfields versus McCoys. Remember that one? Yeah, This is the same kind of thing. If you tick them off too bad, they'll go on a vendetta to get you.
Yeah. And it's just really, I think you're right. I think that would have to be the lowest.
Well, that's my official low point of the year.
I'm going to back you up on that one. I forgot all about that. There's been so many things that have gone on this year. I have to back you up on that one.
Yeah, and then the usual, every year you lose some Bigfoot researchers, and of course this year I'm lamenting the loss of Jerry Klein over in Ohio, who is no longer doing any Bigfoot research. He just does like a race car channel or something. Jerry was totally awesome, and he had a big fight with YouTube, and his channel got taken down. On and on and on and on with those jerks. But so since he just finally got sick of it, he quit. And I hate seeing this kind of stuff, especially when you got somebody that's a really good field researcher. And when they go out there, they generally find something and document it and bring the evidence back for people to look at. And we need more people like that out in the field. Yeah. So
for just a second, and we were talking about losing good researchers. We recently, and I'm gonna get all emotional, so excuse me. We recently lost somebody that, to me, was one of the dearest people I had ever had the pleasure of meeting. His name was Terry Peroza, and he was part of Res Squatching. My condolences to everybody over at the Res, because I know they're heartbroken. And he passed away very recently, and it has been devastating. I talked to him the night before he passed. It was just briefly an exchange saying, Merry Christmas, but we had been talking quite a bit the last 6 months, and he's another one. May he rest in peace, and condolences to his family, his friends, and all the people that loved him. We lost a lot of people this year.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Well, then again, there's some, like I said, some good things happened this year, and there were some people that really got out there and hit it hard in the field. I haven't had some of these people haven't even been on my show before, and it's nice to see that old farts like Randy Brisson, Sasquatch Randy Brisson, are still out there doing it, and he's not like hardcore research anymore, but he goes and hikes around and shows you. If he runs into a structure, he shows it to you. If there's something happening there, he'll show it to you. And he recently got attacked by a bunch of cowardly scum-sucking trolls too, so there's another good example of that. And then up and comers, one of the top ones on my list, I'd have to say, would be Swan Lake Bigfoot with Robert up there in Canada. And he is a very good researcher. He's out there solo, just, near his property, and he's getting them on video. He's getting structures and all kinds of interesting stuff. If you haven't found his channel yet, Swan Lake Bigfoot, go check it out. Gets high recommendation from Duke. Hope to have him on my show again. And then, of course, you got the trustworthy regulars that are putting out so much content you can't figure out how they're doing it or when they even sleep. Like Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization, Kelly Shaw is going to be back on the show again here shortly. And then Robin actually got to do not one but two documentaries this year because Jason wanted to do an interview with her. And while she was there, then other things happened, and he went, wait, we need to do a whole documentary with you now. And suddenly she had this little clip in the one documentary and the entire documentary all to herself, which was pretty cool. I watched both of them. Searching for Sasquatch, right?
Yeah, the thing of it is that was not what I went there for. I went there because my friend Chad wanted me to come and go out in the woods with him, and he wanted to see how I do things in the woods, which, big surprise, everybody. I don't do anything. I just go out there and I'm me. They come to me. I don't chase around. But he had asked, he was bringing in Jason Kenzie to do a documentary. And he asked me, can he interview you? I don't know how long it's going to be. You do a 15-minute interview and he'll break it down to a couple minutes. And I said, okay. And then when I talked to Jason, he said, no, I've seen your stuff. I want to talk to you more than that. And I said, okay. So he interviewed me on and off for like 4 days. And right before I left, he said, listen, I was thinking, that maybe we could put just your interviews together after the documentary. And I'm thinking in my head, because I'm a bubblehead sometimes, that after credits, they're going to have like one of these little extra clips where it shows some of the interviews. And I was like, sure, you can do that. No problem. And I found out with everybody else when he announced it on Facebook, hey, Robin, your documentary's out. And it's called Searching for Sasquatch, Bigfoot Mindspeak. And the other one that I was actually brought there to be part of is called Searching for Sasquatch, Chapter 6, Lurking in the Darkness. And we had a lot of fun that night. And so I was surprised as well. So Jason's a really good guy. He jokes an awful lot, it was kind of difficult for me because this is something I'm so passionate about. But he is a wonderful, wonderful person. And he's so much.
Yeah, another one to look for is apparently he's already completed, but I don't think has released it yet. Little expedition that he did with Robert Kreider, and most of my channel guys anybody that watches my channel for a while knows that I've had Robert Kreider on a couple times. He's absolutely amazing, real world Indiana Jones, and so look forward to that one. It should be pretty cool.
And all of Jason's films are on Amazon Prime. And then they eventually end up going to Tubi TV.
Yep. And the ones we're talking about, other than the Kreider one, are on Tubi right now, so you can go see them for free. And they're well worth watching. They're really cool. On my side of things this year, it was kind of a lousy year for me. I didn't have a working vehicle, still don't. Had some illness issues that kind of held me up for a while and whatnot, but I still managed to get out in the field a few times. And my first favorite thing that happened this year was when we were at Coloma the first time, and research assistant Ashton from Montana Camping and Cryptid channel, he was with me, and he was up early in the morning walking around filming just in case he could catch anything. Comes back to camp and does a quick pan around with his video camera, doesn't even realize it. There's a Bigfoot standing right in the tree line, down on its knees watching him. He didn't even realize it when he got it on video. It's about 30 feet away from my tent that I'm still sleeping in. So we'll show you that.
Go ahead, and then I want to tell you something.
The next time after that we got up there to Coloma, none of my team could go. And it was just a random viewer who happened to be visiting here in Montana. Shayna, shout out to Shayna. Thank you very much. But she had the use of a rent-a-truck for an afternoon before she was flying back home again. Got a hold of me. We went up to Coloma and spent a couple hours walking around. And we found this track line coming down this steep ridge. that it looks like maybe it's being used for cattle, and there are cattle up there, so it looked like your typical well-beaten cow path, really wide. And lots of other animals are using it, elk, deer, whatnot. But the thing that got me is that this large-sized Sasquatch was apparently running down this trail when it was wet, and he kept sliding every time he'd put his foot down. So he dug his toes in like crampons into an ice field or something, and left these giant divots where his toes were digging in every time his foot slid. So that was really fun finding a track line like that. And because we didn't have a complete impression toe to heel because he kept sliding, right? So it's hard to guess the length, but you can go by the width at the front of the foot, which is consistently about 9 inches, and that's double that, and there's your length. So he had 18-inch foot, and he's run down the hill, digging his toes into the mountainside to stop him from sliding. He must have been in a big hurry, and that's the first time I've ever seen that. I've seen them dig their toes in to go uphill before, but I hadn't seen that one before. There's Mom Squatch, Shayna, who's vacationing up here in Montana, and she's with me today, cruising around the old ghost town of Coloma. Ooh, ghostly. Man, I was afraid I was going to get skunked for a minute. See the toe prints?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Big toes, pretty toes.
Big toes.
Sliding down this hill on a muddy day.
Sliding and sliding.
You like to ski, they like to move that.
My foot, poor scale. Excuse me, had to swat a horsefly. We're just driving by. We're on new sections of road down below Coloma that we've never explored. And I saw this very well-worn game path. And I said, let's go walk up there and see if we can find any tracks. We didn't have to walk up there very far.
20 feet.
Yeah. And you got other big animals, including cows, going up and down this thing. So there you go. We have. Is that a cow slipping, or is that a? It's kind of hard to tell. Or a moose, which we also have up here. So anyway, yeah, these are fairly well traveled. They like to run their ATVs and stuff around on all these roads. There's the clear cut that me and Mike were at the last time we were up here, where none of the pictures that he took would be in focus, and they were all blurry and fuzzy and weird looking. That's right up there. So we found access road down below it. And Shayna's doing a read on the Sasquatch here while we're cruising around. And she says this is one of the areas that they travel through a lot, which I believe, considering what some of the woods around here looks like. And we just found another really nifty camping spot. You should be able to see the toes in there. More toe marks. We're up above previous ones.
And that's a big stride. Oh, yeah, that's a really big stride. Even if that's like,
I wish we could find a full-size print so we could get a handle on how big this guy is. I think, here, grab this. Just pull it out. Okay. I'm trying to get across the front of the foot measurement here, which is like, what are we looking at? 9. So, yeah. So using the 50% rule, width of the track 50% of total length, so 18-inch track. Wow. What kind of, oh gee, we're having fun now. And if you're going to follow Bigfoot trackways, always go in the opposite direction they were walking so they don't think you're trailing them. And there's another impact crater. Good Lord. All right, we'll see you guys later. One more quick look at this. This is a cow path. You know how hard cow paths are? Look at those impact craters. Whoever it was ran down this hill was in a big hurry and very, very heavy. Zoom, 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 zoom. Down the hill they go.
Well, I want to bring up a researcher that a lot of the time gets forgotten about. And I think that he does not get near enough credit. Excuse me. And that is Mr. Duke Sullivan. When I first met you, you know, we hit it off right away. And you are like a brother to me. I love you to pieces. And, you know, you and I have each other's backs forever. That's going to stay that way. But what people don't realize is you're not just doing the show. You're doing the research. Your hands on, your boots on the ground. You have a situation where you don't always have a vehicle, okay? And whether you have somebody that takes you there or however you get there. And these forest people, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call them, they don't just tolerate you. They love you. You help them all the time. And there was a situation that I really think needs to be brought up because this shows your heart. This shows who you really are inside and out. Okay, for anybody that's ever met Duke, he looks like this big giant teddy bear. Okay, but he does have some disabilities and he does have some mobility issues. He gets around and he goes like a house of fire, but it's not without pain. Now, he was going to go up there at one point, and there was a situation going on in that mountain. And there were some very bad men that were trying to do some very bad things to the Sasquatch. And Duke was not going to hear of it. Duke and his friend worked with myself. And I did a lot of remote viewing, a lot of talking to the Sasquatch there. And then I would communicate everything to Duke. This man went above and beyond. They were not allowed on that mountain. There were fires that were started that were going to help somewhat trap the Sasquatch. And he went up there anyway. He dodged guards. He dodged police. He was going through the bushes on his belly. And he got up there and he helped them. And I think people need to know you go above and beyond. You're not just this face and this voice on World Bigfoot Radio. You're not just someone that once in a while occasionally goes up in the mountains. You put your blood, sweat, and tears in it. And you put your butt on the line for these guys all the time. You take what little money you have to go buy everything on their shopping list, because every time he goes, he'll call me and say, okay, ask them what they want, ask them what they need. And by God, if he doesn't get everything on it, he'll stand there for 2 days and cook bacon for him because all they wanted, he's like the bacon man.
Yeah, that's my mistake. I shouldn't let him know about the existence of bacon.
But I just think that you don't get enough credit. And you know what? For all the listeners out there, you know what? Put a heart in the live chat. Hit that like button. Let him know you care, because this man goes above and beyond, not only for the Sasquatch, but for every one of his friends, every researcher out there. He spends an enormous amount of time pulling researchers together, helping people get the information that they need. And I just think that you don't get enough credit. And so that's why I wanted to say that, because I love you.
Well, thanks, dear. I appreciate that. You know, I try and do my best. And the fact that I seem to be on their good side at this point really pays dividends, especially with like clip 405, Dogman caught on video, where I'm walking along with my camera going, dur, 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 and they're all lined up in the ditch, and I'm filming like 24 of them, and I have no idea that I'm getting all of them on camera. And I'm like, I'll see it afterwards and have a PTSD thing for like 3 or 4 days.
Well, the last one, Pat and I are sitting on our bed one night, and you said, "Oh, will you look at these pictures?" And I'm like, "Sure, no problem. Send them over." And I get these photos, and Pat and I are looking at this, and I'm like, "Okay, there's Dogman, there's Bigfoot, there's ETs, there's little people. Oh, look at there's little elementals, there's dimensionals. Look at that portal over here by the creek." Like, and Duke is aimlessly walking around filming, not realizing anything's there. But as we all know, anything that's cloaked will show up in a picture.
Yeah. And, you know, the reason that I acted like I didn't know they were there is because I didn't know they were there. But I had the camera going, see? That's why
Yeah.
I got that video, because I'm walking along with the camera going, I'm not going to turn it off. I'll just keep filming until I get over to the river where I want to get that zoom out, zoom in beauty shot, just in case.
Well,
Yeah.
and who getting a picture of an open portal? I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
And I got that too. I haven't even shown the audience that yet. That's still up and coming, because even though the entire thing is about 8 minutes long, but the first 7 minutes I'm wandering around in the heart of their territory, up the hidden magic stream, and there's nothing up there, nothing that I found on the video anyway. And as soon as I get back down to the road, within about 30 feet of it, there's one laying there 20 feet away looking at me. Caught that one on video. Robin noticed that one too. There's the eye right next to the tree watching me go past. And then as I'm sliding down the embankment, Blaine noticed it. Oh, Duke, there's one right across the road from you there. You're walking toward him as you're filming. Like, okay. And then you guys went, you know, drew a zillion hula hoops when you sat down, looked at the video on the big screen, and sent me literally 19 screen captures with multiple hula hoops, red hula hoops on all of them. Some of them had little notes going, you can see the rings on the portal right here. We're looking in the upper left-hand side on this one next to that tree. Looks like a fuzzy head. This one, you see the outline on the left-hand side, that black shadow? That's got hair. That's not a shadow. And down below the black shadow, that's an eye. Eye of what? I don't know. Stephen Hill found that one. And thanks to him for, again, going over the video and taking a look at it. Now we've got, this is to the right-hand side of the canid thing. Those two little heads there, I don't know what the hell those are. They could be little people. Directly in the middle of the screen that we're zooming in on, you can see the red eye there next to that tree. And he's kind of underneath there watching me. As I get him on video, he actually has his head turned and is watching me come toward him. There's his not very happy, smiley-looking face. And here we are taking a look in the background, the two Bigfoot spotted by Stephen Hill here. There's the one that's blending. You can see him hanging out in that bush there. And then down below him to the right, this one I had also spotted earlier. Stephen spotted him too. And he's not blending. He's just sitting down there thinking that he's completely hidden and nobody can see him. And that happy dog man there. There you go. You can see the top of his head and his shoulders, and you can actually even see his eyes if you look carefully. So, and again, look over to his right. You know, what's... yeah, all kinds of weird things on this piece of video. So... here we go, clip 405. This is at the beginning of it, where I'm walking around, and then now I'm coming back down the embankment. And yes, this is terrible. It's not stabilized. Sorry about that. And then I'm actually going to be sliding down this embankment. And that was part of the... No, I'm filming this guy because I'm sliding down the embankment and trying to not fall over. And I'm still walking along with the camera. Going across the road. There was already one on camera. We'll come back and show you that one later. But now I'm just going to start walking along and filming in the ditch. And there's the first thing. There's an eye down there at the base of those two little trees. See that? And if you watch really closely on the stabilized, slowed down version, you can catch him. And here's the first time where I pick up on this canid thing. And as you can see, he's turned. He's watching me come toward him. So this is live being, whatever it is, because it changes position as I'm walking past it. And here we go, going quarter speed. There's that nice red eye. That's extremely disturbing. Doesn't look happy. And a couple more Bigfoot down below. Once again, quarter speed, this time stabilized. There's Mr. Not Looking Happy with his glowing red eye. And there we go. Down below, more Bigfoot. Now we're going to go through it really slow and give you a better chance to look at it. Now you can see the one down below there. Watch carefully, middle of the screen. Lower middle, I should say. Okay, there's Mr. Red Eyeball. And you guys may pick up more in the background. If you do, timestamp, tell us what part of the screen they're on, point them out, because like I said, a bunch of pros have already gone through this and looked at it and just flipped their bleep, because there's so many cryptids in this little piece of video. Like everything in the kitchen sink is watching me walk past them, which is extremely disturbing. Very extremely disturbing. But at least I'm in the right place, apparently. If I want to find Bigfoot and everything else on Earth except for a catman and a reptoid, I got the right place to go do it. And here's the last time we're going to go through this, and this is the stabilized version. There's that eye. Ooh. And here we come on Mr. Red Eye. Is this a dog man? I do not know what this thing is. But creeping me out, whatever it is. And here's the rest of the raw clip. Again, this isn't stabilized, and it's at regular speed. So this is how terrible the video looks and how amazing it is that I spotted anything in there and went, wait, there's something there. Let's go back and look at it. Oh yeah, there's a lot of somethings there, and there's going to be a lot of slowing little teeny parts of this down. There's the two sitting there, that the one that looked like a shadow at the beginning I showed you. Where, yeah, they're in here. There's a bunch of them in here. So apparently the whole time I was walking around in the woods up above by myself, they were all here on the opposite side of the road from where I was at, hanging around with Keith, waiting for me to come back again. Jerks.
Yeah, but the other thing I want to point out about, and again, this is something that a lot of people, some people know because they talk to you a lot, but some people don't. You know, Duke is really good at connecting people. He's brilliant at it. He could be one of the best at it. And he talks to a lot of people. They reach out to him constantly, and he gets people that may need someone just to talk to, or maybe they have a situation going on and they don't know how to handle it. And I work with a lot of people, okay? I don't advertise for it. I don't try to. If people are supposed to get help from me or just be able to talk and download from me, they find a way to reach me, because that's how I know it's supposed to happen. And Duke connects them with me. And I appreciate that, because these are people that need, most of them don't even need help. They just need someone that can understand what they're going through and maybe give them a few tips. You know, what Duke can't do, he sends them to me. And I really appreciate that, because for me, it's all about helping everybody. Like, I think our world lacks that. So the more compassion and the more we help each other, the happier things are and the better it is for all of us. And Duke is really good at bringing people together for that.
Thanks, hon. You know, actually, the part of it that of course, I get people contacting me that need help because they've had terrifying experiences, or just baffling ones that are ongoing. They're not sure what the heck's going on, and sometimes I can figure it out, and other times it's beyond it's above my pay grade. So I kick it to Rob, and she deals with it. But what I really enjoy doing is that now that I've had enough of these really competent Bigfoot researchers on my shows over the years, and I'm in contact with all of them. When one of them comes up with some really weird evidence, they contact me and go, Duke, have you ever heard anything like this? And a lot of times I have, and I know which researcher to put them in touch with, and usually it's somebody that they weren't in contact with. And then they start talking and they get to be good friends too, and now they're all sharing information. How horrifying is that?
Created this amazing network. And you and I have talked about this before, you know, a lot of us, not everybody, but a large number of us, I say we work for the Foots. We're basically puppets. We have free will and we get to choose what we do, but we're puppets. And our job, and you and I have talked about this, is we bring the information forward. You know, we help support the people that need it. I don't think we're any better than anybody else, but it's nice to be able to be part of that process. And you are really good at bringing everybody together. You've got like all these little tentacles that go out all over the place because you know all these researchers. So when people come to you, it's like, oh, okay, this is the person you need to talk to, or that's the person you need to talk to. And that's what it's all about. It's networking.
I am pretty good at that, so I'm glad I had all the previous experience networking, because I had about 30 years experience doing that, so it makes it like second nature. Don't even have to think about it. I know how to deal with this networking thing. So now I think we've gotten through the good and the bad points of the year. Was anything else you wanted to bring up that stood out Bigfoot-wise for 2022?
I think just different things that went on. Like, remember when we did the Dave Scott show, you and I, Dave had a guest that was sick and wasn't going to be able to do the whole show.
Oh, yeah.
So Duke calls me and he says, listen, you know, I got to go on Dave Scott's show tonight. I want you to come on there with me. You know, his guests is sick and isn't going to be able. That happens after midnight here, between 12 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't want to wake anybody up in the house or all the dogs. So I go out on the porch. So you and Dave and I are talking away. And on my right side, and this happens every time I go out and do a show for Dave, on my right side, over in the next backyard of the neighbors, I can hear something that sounds like a metal pole being beaten on a tree. And I'm hearing this out of my right ear at the same time trying to focus on you guys and talk to you guys. And then on my right side, the bushes are shaking like wild branches. And they're just back and forth and back and forth. So then Dave takes that at the end of every 30 minutes, he takes a couple-minute break. You guys go off the air. And I'm sitting there by myself. I can't see anybody. And I can't see any of the questions, so I can't answer questions. And I hear over on my left side now, it sounds like somebody thacking a pie plate. And it would ping once, wait exactly 5 seconds, ping it again, wait 5 seconds, ping it again. And it did it 8 times in a row. And I'm like, guys, where are you? Like, I've got him walking in on my right side. I've got him coming in on my left side. And I'm out here sitting in the dark. And so I thought, well, I want to make sure that this is what I think it is. And I knocked on the banister and I did it 3 times. I went real fast. I went 1, 2, 3. And immediately the ping came back, 1, 2, 3.
One of them.
Waited a minute, and then it started back up again. And 1 ping, 5 seconds. 1 ping, 5 seconds. So I went 4 times. I went 1, 2, 3, 4 on the banister. And immediately 4 pings right away. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it just stopped as you guys came back in. And I was like, where did you go? Would you quit walking? But yeah, like I'll go out and I'll do these things and I'll be sitting outside and they're running, you know, in the trees across the road. And Dave's like, well, just turn the camera on. I said, I can't. It's dark out here. Like, you're not going to see anything but darkness.
Yep. Well, you know, that's the thing when you're doing a live radio show, then you have commercial breaks, and during the commercial breaks, you can just go wander off and go to the bathroom or smoke a cig or whatever.
I wandered off and I'm sitting on the porch and a possum came up and sat down next to me.
That was a good one. So anyway, we're getting toward the end of the show here. Let's give out some possible ideas for who should be Biggie Award recipients. First of all, we can have more than one category. We can have field researchers. Yeah. We can have archivists. We can have, what else is there?
Gosh, I mean, just the goods to the table. You know,
well, you got the people that do the paperwork research, that go online and do all that kind of stuff. or that look through old newspaper articles. Those are archivists. And then, of course, you got the people that take the verbal reports and actually write those down and stuff. And they're researchers too. So I don't know how we're going to categorize all that.
Who gets the most contact? I mean, like one-on-one contact. Who's finding the most footprints? Who's getting the best pictures? I mean, there's so many.
Well, that's field researchers, though. That all lumps into field researchers. You've only got really three things. You got people that interview someone like John Green, take the report, maybe nose around for a half an hour, see if you can find anything, and then you wander away and you never return again. Okay, so that's one phase of Bigfoot research. And then you've got the archivists that are going through all the old reports and all the stories that people have filed and looking for things that are consistent and repetitive amongst them. And so archivists are super handy for that. And then you've got the actual field researchers that are out there finding the tracks, recording the calls, maybe interacting with them. I mean, we could make a separate thing just for interactors, but there's so few of them that are public right now. It would be a small pool to choose from. But to go back in time, like 2-3 years, if we would have been giving out and let's call them Biggie Awards a few years ago, in January, Kelly Shaw would have won because he had one of the most craziest videos ever where somebody had filmed a Bigfoot in Provo, Utah, walking along the top of a mountain. And before 24 hours went by, him and his team had figured out exactly where it was. They were there at the base of the mountain, and they were ready for one of them to try and climb up to the exact spot and get a comparison video to judge size. And of course, Kelly was the one that did the insane climb. And when he did get up there, and when he did, he found tracks. And they got the comparison and everything that they wanted. And just the part that blew me away was the video where he's climbing up this ice cliff with like no mountaineering equipment. Essentially he's just like street clothes. I'm going to climb up this ice cliff and get up here and drag my camera. I'll even stop occasionally and show you how crazy this is. So he would have won hands down that year. And then another person that could potentially have won, and this would be another category for the people that are doing the analysis part of the whole thing. And I think probably the best person out there doing it right now is Thinker Thunker. And he's done a lot of really good videos where he takes a real serious look at something. He's figured out the body proportion thing and other tells that will give it away, whether it's a guy in a suit from Monkey Suits or Us, or whether it's actually an actual Bigfoot. And of course, nobody's right 100% of the time. Anybody can make a mistake, but Thinker Thunker is right the vast, vast majority of the time. And he's even gone out of his way to swat some trolls. He's had a couple of videos recently where he's pointed out that Expedition Bigfoot may lean more toward Hoaxpedition Bigfoot. And he also had a personal squabble with an internet troll known as Bigfoot Tony. And if you missed the final smackdown on that one and wonder where Bigfoot Tony went, go watch Thinker Thunker's video that he released on Easter a couple years back, Bigfoot Tony or Bigfoot Phony, and you'll know what happened to him. But so, there's a few people that could be nominated. I mean, there's some of them that are just consistent every year. They're amazing. And I'm not really going to be able to pick one out for this year. We're going to leave it up to the audience. So you guys in the comment section below the video, put in your nominees. Who should win for Best Field Researcher of 2022? Who should win for Best Archivist? Who should win for Best Analyst? Who should win for Best Reporter? Just the person that's doing the interviews and writing down the story, getting the recording of them telling it, whatever. We can have all those categories. And, for this year, geez, who could I nominate? How about your buddy Jason Kenzie? He's the world's greatest Bigfoot researcher.
I don't think so.
You sure? Well, let's see his clip here.
Came out of nowhere and became the newest darling of the Bigfoot community. The world has never seen an adventurer like him before. His passion and courage exceed all limits. He is the greatest Bigfoot investigator to ever walk the earth. Witness, a seeker of truth who leaves no stone unturned and no clue ignored. His name is legendary. His name is... who are you?
What do you mean you don't know who I am?
Yup. Don't know.
You know, I'm Jason Kenzie.
You don't look familiar.
You know, Jason Kenzie, the filmmaker.
Nope, never heard of you. Sorry, man. Doesn't ring a bell.
For the love of God, I've produced 4 Bigfoot documentaries.
Look, sorry, bro. I just don't know who you are. I can't promote this rubbish. Get out of here. Bigfoot investigator. Yeah, right. I'm pretty sure there are others greater than you. Could somebody get a hold of Ken Gerhardt or maybe Adam Davies? How about Bobo? Yeah, somebody get me Bobo. I know. How about the little person from Game of Thrones? I'm pretty sure he's a better Bigfoot investigator.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think so. I clearly remember when he saw the one when I was out in the woods with him. I don't think so.
Oh, you mean that when he didn't actually get the camera on to get the video of it?
Oh, he had it on for a brief moment and then he was a little excited.
Oh, no. Well, you know, you're not going to hear him complaining about how everybody's blowing it because they can't get a video of Bigfoot.
Jason, and really, Jason is the sweetest, kindest guy you'd ever meet. He truly, truly is. He was a joy to work with. Like I said, I take this stuff really seriously. So as much as I'm a person that loves to laugh and joke all the time, like I really and truly do, this is a topic that I get kind of serious about. And so that was a little bit harder for me to take, was the not in the main video, just, you know, the documentary, but he's wonderful to work with. He really and truly is. He does an excellent job. He goes all over the place.
And his documentaries actually show stuff. There's other people that run around doing supposed Bigfoot documentaries that don't get doodly and don't show doodly. Jason does at least get stuff that he can come back and show you. So there's that to be said for him.
Like, I'd recommend his videos. I mean, really. And I think definitely, you know, the Bigfoot researcher one is one of his best.
Yeah, and he's always entertaining.
Okay.
So enough plugs for Jason here. You know, don't forget about some of the other good researchers out there that actually you know, need your attention. Blaine Tyler is one of my all-time faves, and he has been so demonetized and delisted by YouTube. It's ridiculous. You know, early on in his career, he was having videos that had 100,000, 200,000 views. Now he's lucky if he puts something out, he gets like 3,000 views on it. So, you know, if you guys aren't already subbed, go sub him and make sure that you click the notify me of everything bell. So there's the outside chance you actually get notified of something when he puts it out. But he's got a ton of stuff on his channel. It's all really interesting. And it's mostly short videos. They're mostly all under like 10 minutes long for you people with short attention spans. Ooh, go see Blaine's videos.
Got a couple other ones. You've got William Lunsford, Stephen Hill, two of my favorites. And I want to bring up the name of a couple newcomers as far as the research. They've been doing research before, but they've really just gone public recently. And I absolutely adore these two. I talk with them all the time. I mean, we have moments where it's in between, but we try to stay in touch. Dark Woods and Primal Cry, they are kicking it.
Yeah.
Where they
Yeah, and I just had Dark Woods on about a month ago, and yeah, he's doing a great job out there. There's other people too that are like lesser known that are really doing a great job, and some of them don't even have channels. I mean, like technically, William Lunsford and Stephen Hill that you just named, I mean, they really don't have channels. Stephen's got a tiny YouTube presence, and William doesn't even have one.
We've got Camping with Sasquatch that is pulling up some of the best vocals I've heard, and I can't tell you how long. Like, there is a lot. I can't even go through the list because we don't have that kind of time. But I talk to a lot of these people, and I'm so blessed. They share the research and the things that they find and that they get with me. And, you know, I don't spread it. I don't share it. That's not the intent. But they're out there, and I think we're going to see big things from these people this year.
Yep. Yeah, another channel for people that want to check out more evidence analysis. Go check out Bigfoot Anthropologist, because that guy's really good at doing the audio analysis. And he's also really good at figuring out that, hey, they do all these little clicks and pops in the background all the time. And if you screen out all of the other known normal sounds, that's what you end up with every time that they're around on a video.
Yeah. And, you know, when you look through our live chat, the people that are in there, it's so unassuming because some of these people have got great things. Midwest, Chiro. I mean, look at now I can't even think of it. Joyce. And
Bama
you've got,
Bigfoot,
thank
Brown
you, Bama.
Dwarf.
Or my mind went blank. Brown Dwarf, Gene Hudson. These people are kicking it. Like
Yep.
they really and truly are. They may not come out front and center and say, hey, look at me. I got this, I've got this, I've got this. Don't ever think that means that there's nothing going on, because there is.
Yeah.
And another thing I'd like to say while I'm on here is Harriet McFeely. Cannot forget Harriet. Harriet has a book out on the braiding, and I think she's working on another one about the braiding of the flags. Igor got photographs of where in Russia they braided really tall grass. It's just incredible. And he's been very kind and let Harriet use those photos. So if she is going to do a follow-up to the book that she's already got, she will have that in there. The Nebraska Bigfoot Museum, amazing, just got enlarged, in the middle of a rebuild. So you're going to find a lot more things there than ever before. I am the new assistant manager there. Harriet blessed me with that title the other day. So that's a lot of fun. And we will have the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference, which will be on the 21st and 22nd of April, and the new grand opening of the museum on the 20th of April, of which yours truly, as well as Duke Sullivan, William Lunsford, Stephen Hill, Keith Crabtree. I mean, we've got some really good people that are going to be there. And I think, God willing, our own Christy Sci-Fi is going to come and help us out while we're there. So,
Yep.
you know, something on the calendar, folks. And then Dr. John Stamey, he has Scary Cast on Monday nights, and he has a conference going on in Georgia, and that will be April 1st. So there's a lot of good things coming our way this year. So hopefully things are going to get better. We are going to get more information out than we ever have before. That is my goal. And maybe just a little bit more kindness for each other.
Yep. I'm looking forward to the rest of this month. I've got Kelly Shaw lined up to do a repeat of his once a year Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization update. So he's going to be on to do that. And I've also got Keith Crabtree lined up. We're just waiting for him to get well. He's had health issues, so we're waiting for him to have a voice back so he can actually record a show. And then we can talk about all the cool nifty stuff that happened while he was up here in September and they tickled his feet. And then and of course, clip 405 we were referencing earlier, where I caught, like, you know, the entire marching band and their security team on video, and get so many cryptids on one piece of video. That was when Keith was here. Keith was tinkering around with his truck about 100 feet up the road from where I filmed that at the same time. He was waiting for me to get back to the truck and walk up there to him. And as I was coming back up, that's when I filmed all of it. So
Let's not forget Dave. Dave Scott had a huge breakthrough with his group this year.
that's right, Dave too. Yep.
And he was so precious. He sent me a message. It was like 12:30 at night. And he's like, you know, of course, there's a huge time difference. And he's like, is there any way I can talk to you tonight? I got to talk to you. And I said, sure. So went ahead and he called me, and I was like, oh my God, you saw him. And he was so funny, because he's like, you know, it'd be nice to tell you about it before you tell me, please. Sorry.
Well, you
But
helped with stuff this year too. You know, one thing that you've been invaluable for is just being able to do the intermediary between me and my favorite group of biggies up here in the Sapphire Mountains, so that I can get the right grocery list and stuff from them. But, you know, there's other things that we've had a chance to talk about, which has been really interesting. And one of them, just sometimes it comes up randomly, because I'll be talking to Robin, and you never know who's listening in on the conversation, so to speak. And we were saying something about the size of the Sasquatch up in this area, and I said, well, I don't think they're all as big as Glag is or anything. You know, they might be some of them around here that are 14 feet. I don't think they get any bigger than that. And you stop and start laughing, and you go, you were just corrected. They said 18.
Yeah. I know. It's like this Secret Service. They're all listening.
Yeah. Oh, and that was my other favorite, most hilarious thing of this year is, okay, I'm up there. I'm doing Bigfoot research. I'm the stealthy ranger guy going through the woods, trying to find gigantic cryptids, doing Bigfoot research. Only now that I've got Robin talking to them, they're making rules. And one of the rules, one of the several rules, is not carry guns around with us. We can carry swords and stuff if we want, but no guns. If we got a gun, we got to leave it in the vehicle back at camp. So I'm going like, okay, but what if we run into crazy humans with guns? What if we run into a grizzly or something like that? So they told Robin that they'll basically provide security and they'll watch our backs and keep anything dangerous away from us while we're out there walking around, filming their structures and tracks. So now I'm in this really bizarre situation where I'm trying to get stealthy and sneak up on these relic hominids and get evidence of their tracks and structures, maybe catch one of them on video. And it's dangerous. So while I'm up there, the very same relic hominids are providing my security detail and following me around to make sure I don't get hurt while I'm trying to accidentally get them on video and document their structures and ooh and ah about how awesome they are. What's wrong with this picture, Robin?
Following you while you're following them. It was lovely. But don't forget they off the bear. Remember the bear that snapped right in the head and they wanted you to know?
Yeah. When I was up there with Eric, we had that happen where it was dead still. All 4 nights we were up there was dead still. There was no wind, nothing. No bugs buzzing, chirping, no animals making noise. And it was about an hour after dark, and all of a sudden there was this wha-boom! And I mean, it sounded like the Hulk swung a railroad tie and hit a 4-foot thick tree with it and broke it or something. It sounded like a cannon shot going off. And Eric literally jumped out of his chair and went, "What the hell was that?" And I did my usual reaction and just stayed in my chair and went, "Hey guys." And then Eric got mad and said, "Don't joke around, Duke." And I said, "I'm not joking around. I know it just made that noise." We didn't know why, though. And we found out after the fact when we could get cell phone signal again and I could call Robin. They had one of their sentinels keeping an eye on us. And there was this bear that was like partially crazy. They kept trying to come into this area and it was sneaking up on us. So he just scared the bear away.
I don't think the bear's around anymore. But
Yeah,
they got rid of the bear.
Either they chased him out of the valley or he got at one or the other. Because from what I remember, they said they'd tried to chase. I think that was a female bear too, because they said there was a little one with it. Yeah. So it might have been a sow, and we don't know if it was a grizzly or black bear. No description from them. But apparently, it had been in the valley a couple of times and gotten chased out again. And of course, I'm the evil human that suggested that bears are yummy, and you know,
a lot of them up there. But then there's Duke, who plays Santa Duke for the Bigfoot kids. He goes and gets all these little stuffies, and which was the one that the one little guy wanted? The little girl.
The little boy wanted a stuffed raccoon. I actually got 2 in case one of the other ones wanted a stuffed raccoon. They could have one too.
Rock, so his parents wouldn't take it.
Yeah, if you want to see the video of Santa leaving all the presents for him, that's at the end of the Haunted Horse Ranch video that I turned out last weekend.
And then the little girl liked it was either a pony or a unicorn, I think that you had.
Yeah, I had 2 little stuffed ponies. One of them looked like an actual horse. It was kind of like mid-brown with a little mane on it and stuff. And the other one was sort of the same thing, except it was a unicorn, and it had like rainbow mane on it and stuff. And that's the one she grabbed.
Yep, she liked that.
Yeah. Well, I had somebody in comments after they saw that on the video saying they had video of a mama Sasquatch with a youngster on her lap, and he had some little stuffed toy that looked like a Chester cheetah or something that he had gotten somewhere that he was holding.
My daughter, when she was little, she took and got this little sand bucket and she filled it full of toys and she took it out back to the woods and she put it out there for the Bigfoot kids and she put a blanket out there and she left it and they went through the bucket and they took what toys they wanted. And one of them was from a McDonald's toy. It was that How to Train Your Dragon, the little black dragon. And they had that thing for 2 years. And then they went up to the house and we had been out there the night before at a bonfire and we went out there the next day and they had taken blocks and put the blocks in a circle like it was caged in and put the dragon in the middle of these that was going to hold the dragon. But it was like 2 years this toy.
Yeah.
And then she had a hairbrush and she sat it on the porch and she accidentally forgot it when she went in the house that night. She went out the next day and there was all this long Sasquatch hair in it and they had tried to brush their hair with it and broke the brush, snapped it right in half.
Yeah, those are called snarls.
Yeah.
They get snarls in their hair and no, the brush breaks because their hair is too tough. All right. Well, I think we pretty much covered it. thanks for being on the show and giving us the year-end wrap-up, Robin. Of course, we'll have you back again sometime soon for more updates. And everybody else out there, Happy New Year. Let's try and make it better than 2022 was, and
Please.
clean up some of the trash that are causing the problems and getting rid of them if possible. That would be good.
Love each other. Listen to each other. We're all in it together. Nobody can do this by themselves. We all need everybody to come together to fill in the blanks and all the puzzle pieces.
Yep. Everybody quit stabbing each other in the back and start working together. And if you're going to stab somebody in the back, make sure it's one of the bad guys that are trying to get you to stab somebody else in the back. Go stab them in the back.
So what that the Sasquatch try to teach us is they work as a collective. And that seems to be the hardest for people to do. We need to come together and work as a collective. Together we can accomplish anything. Singly, we're dismal failures.
Yep.
So hopefully in 23, God willing, we're going to be able to do that more.
Let's try and do that, folks. Let's bring some unity to the community. And
Excellent.
yep, everybody try and be kind to everybody else and work together. And other than that, you know all the usual warnings, and you're going to hear them here in a second. And don't take any wooden nickels either.
You're kind to everyone. Safety first, last, and always. Pay it forward. Don't be mean to people if you don't have to be. Don't flip off the mountain giant. Don't poke Dogman with a stick. Don't punt the puck, would you? And for God's sake, whatever you do not hug the Wookiee.